Welcome to a very special place in Pittsburgh. It's the Dollar Bank Heritage Center. It's the first stop on a virtual field trip that we have created titled Pittsburgh People and Places. Our goal on this field trip is to show you some important places in Pittsburgh that are connected to famous people, and in the process, to help you learn how to write biographies and to imagine your future. Who knows, perhaps a building, park, or even a street in Pittsburgh will be named for you based on what you accomplish in life. My name is Mrs. Sturgis, and I've worked with the Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation for many years. For one thing, we love to explore historic buildings that are significant, memorable places. The building we are exploring today includes a bank and more. It also includes a heritage center. The Dollar Bank Heritage Center is a significant, memorable place. It's located in downtown Pittsburgh on the corner of 4th Avenue and Smithfield Street. Please raise your hand if you know what the word heritage means. Heritage is something important, like a tradition or value that has been handed down from one generation to the next. It's a source of pride for that new generation. Think about your family's history. Are there traditions or values that have been handed down from one generation to the next? From your grandparents, your great-grandparents, or your parents? If so, it's important to continue those traditions. In the case of Dollar Bank, the employees have created a museum, a heritage center, that includes exhibits and artifacts honoring the people who created and directed the bank and who were customers of the bank. We can look at some of the exhibit panels and artifacts, the objects of importance, that the employees have created to learn some interesting facts about Dollar Bank's history. And we can learn how to write interesting biographies in a fun, entertaining way. Who started Dollar Bank and why? Let's go look at one of the exhibit panels to find the answer. Charles Colton established Dollar Bank in 1855, more than 160 years ago. What's interesting to me, though, is that 1 year before, in 1854, there was a terrible cholera epidemic in Pittsburgh. Mr. Colton noticed how many sick people became poor and hungry. He wanted to be able to help those people. At the time, it wasn't really possible to set up a savings account unless you were wealthy. Mr. Colton had a great idea. He knew that he could set up a bank and he could allow people to open up a savings account if they had simply $1. That was basically the working wage for one day for a working person in Pittsburgh. $1. That was all you needed to open up a savings account at Dollar Bank. Remember who's on the front of the dollar bill? George Washington. And you remember that he helped make Pittsburgh history in the 1750s, way before he became our first president. A dollar bill. Read this sign with me and let's learn a little bit more about Mr. Colton. In 1855, Charles Colton committed himself to a rather unheard of idea. That is a great topic sentence, isn't it? It draws you into the writing. Right away, as a reader, you want to figure out, what is it that was an unheard of idea? Let's read on. While much of the banking community was concerned with the needs of businesses and the wealthy, Colton believed there should be a bank for those whose fortunes could be found tucked under mattresses, stashed away in old mason jars, or hidden in cigar boxes. These were hardworking people, coal miners, steel workers, mariners, clerks, mechanics, farmers, folks who earned as little as 7.5 cents an hour. For them, money was hard to come by, and it was for them that Dollar Bank was built. Let's go to another panel and see what Mr. Colton looked like and learn a little bit more about him. Follow me. So we are now in the president's office in the Dollar Bank Heritage Center. Let's look at this sign, which shows a photograph of Charles Colton, and it also shows the year he was born and the year he died. You can use your math skills to figure out how many years Mr. Colton lived. I'd like to focus on the last paragraph of this panel and read these words with me. On July 19, 1855, the bank opened for business, requiring only $1 to open a savings account, an amount far less than in other banks. Colton's enterprise received only $53 in deposits on its first day. However, by the time Colton died on February 12, 1881, the bank he founded, now called the Dollar Savings Bank, had more than $6 million in savings accounts for more than 16,000 individuals, a loyal base that represented, as would have pleased Mr. Colton, Main Street rather than Wall Street. Main Street businesses were those that were owned by families who lived in Pittsburgh, local people. People who were customers here at Dollar Bank were people who worked in Pittsburgh and lived in Pittsburgh and saved in Pittsburgh. Let's look at some of the biographies that have been written about Dollar Bank depositors since 1855. Thomas J. Gatewood. So when you write a biography, you start with the person's name. Account number, that's information specific to the bank. Occupation, a waiter. Let's read the text together. Born in 1841 on a slave plantation, Thomas J. Gatewood escaped along with his wife Josephine in 1863 during the Civil War. The couple headed north until they reached Pittsburgh. Gatewood worked as a waiter, trained as a male nurse alongside some of Pittsburgh's best doctors, and became a messenger for the city controller's office. His obituary in 1910 made the front page in Pittsburgh newspapers, and his funeral was attended by dozens of city dignitaries and thousands of Pittsburghers. This is a good biography. We know the person's name, we know where the person was born, we know interesting details about the person's life, and we know what the person did and what he accomplished and how he was admired. Each one of these biographies is incredible, but look up high at the Woodson family. For 7 generations, the Woodsons have been one of the most prominent African-American families in Pittsburgh. Family patriarch Lewis Woodson was a minister, abolitionist, which means he opposed slavery, of course, and educator who ran several barbershops with his sons. A founding trustee of Wilberforce University, Woodson was one of the leaders of Pittsburgh's Vigilance Committee and an agent of the Underground Railroad. Lewis Woodson's wife, Caroline Robinson Woodson, ran a millinery on 4th Avenue along with her daughter, Jemima. A millinery shop was a hat shop. They made beautiful hats. Look here at Giovanni Pasquinelli. Born in Lucca, Italy, Giovanni Pasquinelli arrived in the United States in 1886 at age 22 and became a naturalized American citizen 9 years later. Do the math. Like many Italian immigrants of his era, he worked in the food industry. With his brother, Americo, he started a meat business. In 1895, they introduced Italian sausage to the city of Pittsburgh. So if you like Italian sausage, you have Giovanni Pasquinelli to thank. Let's take a look at a famous woman, Jane Grey Swisshelm. Born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, author, publisher, and abolitionist, Jane Grey Swisshelm founded and published several newspapers, which she used as platforms to advocate for women's property rights and the abolition of slavery. Her stature as a journalist led her to become the first woman to sit in the press gallery of the United States Senate. During the Civil War, she worked as a nurse. Swisshelm Park in Swissvale is named after her. I'm going to ask you to think about what you would write in your own biography. You would want to write your name, your age, when you were born, where you were born, where you went to school perhaps, what neighborhood you live in, and then you would want to incorporate some descriptive words about the kind of person who you are and what really makes you happy in life. What do you like to do? You can start now writing a biography about yourself. And then, who knows, in the future, as you continue with your life, perhaps you'll do something remarkable, and perhaps people in your community will name a building, a park, a bridge, or even a street after you. Just how people named Swisshelm Park after Jane Grey Swisshelm. One last biography to share, one of my favorite men, Benjamin Tucker Tanner. And I know about him because he had a son, Henry Tanner, who became the first African-American artist to be recognized around the world for his beautiful paintings. There's a painting in the White House by the son of Benjamin Tucker Tanner. Let's read. Occupation, a barber. Born in Pittsburgh, PA, Benjamin Tucker Tanner was one of 12 children born into a working-class family in Pittsburgh's Hill District. He pursued a college education and became an ordained minister and eventually bishop in the African Methodist Episcopal Church. It's quite incredible to me to have information presented about people who deposited money at Dollar Bank, just regular people who came through the doors. I think it's a tremendous compliment to the employees of Dollar Bank who have researched and found this information and created very appealing signs that include portraits and words in a brief way that show how important Pittsburgh people are. So by the late 1860s, Dollar Bank was very successful. Dollar Bank hired an architect from Philadelphia, Isaac Hobbs and Sons, to come to Pittsburgh and to design a new headquarters building. The process of designing and constructing the building lasted from about 1868 until 1871, when the doors of the building that we're in today opened. This shows you a drawing of the original Dollar Bank here at this location that opened its doors in 1871. Not too much later, the building had to expand. And in this image, you can see how the architect, Mr. Steen, added wings or additions onto the center section of the building. The building itself was also turned into a little coin bank. These are some of the artifacts that are so interesting in this Dollar Bank Heritage Center. And this is an object that you would want to pass down from one generation to the next. You put your coins in the top, and it encourages children to save money. Let's look at the technology timeline. Let's read June 19th, 2007. Dollar Bank is the first bank in the region to offer text message banking. There are two other major artifacts inside this banking building, and they are the original lions that used to guard the front entrance of Dollar Bank on 4th Avenue. Lions are often a symbol of a bank because the message to the public is your money is safe with me. But no bank has lions like the beloved Dollar Bank lions. Look at this sign, restoring the lions. My organization, Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation, is all about restoring buildings or sculpture or parks or bridges. Restoring means that you're caring for something that was original, that was beautiful. Over time, these lions also needed to be restored. So in 2009, Dollar Bank began a restoration to return the lions to the original splendor of sculptor Max Kohler's 1871 creations. I was here on the day this happened. I was standing outside when a huge flatbed truck came and workmen had sliced off the bottom portion that held the lion, and then with yellow pulleys and a crane, they pulled that weighted lion on his pedestal up, lifted him from the bank building, and they set him on the flatbed truck, and that truck drove up 4th Avenue all the way to Ohio, where in a workshop there, conservators, they want to conserve, they want to protect, conservators restored those lions. And then the incredible thing is, Dollar Bank didn't just stop at restoring the lions, they decided to duplicate the lions. So with computer technology, the craftsmen were able to trace all of the shapes of the lion. And then they found stone that matched this original stone. And the new craftsman was able to carve out of the new stone that was a pretty close match to the old stone, replicas, lions that were almost exactly like the original lions. Those replicas are outside the building. So they were made just about 10 years ago, and they can live for many, many more decades on the street in front of the entrance to the 4th Avenue Dollar Bank building. So we're outside the Dollar Bank building, Heritage Center is inside, on 4th Avenue, and it's a wintry day, and it's quite a lot of fun to see the lions on a day like today. Here's our one friend, upright, proud, at attention, and here's our other friend, who's just resting his heavy head and mane on his front paw. From this side of 4th Avenue, you can look more easily at the facade of the Dollar Bank building. The facade is the face of the building. Look up at the words. Again, the date of incorporation and the year this building was built. The logo for the Dollar Savings Bank is Lady Liberty. So there are 4 great columns, and they have ridges. They're called fluted columns, and then they end up at the top at the Capitol, where you have leaves and also scroll-like curlicues. Those columns are called composite columns. Notice the center section of the building and then how the stone is different on the 2 wings. You can see the additions that were added to the original Dollar Bank building. And look at those beautiful doors that are open during the work week, welcoming you into Dollar Bank and the Heritage Center. Go in sometime with your family and visit the Heritage Center. I want to thank you for spending time with me today. Together, we have seen one of Pittsburgh's treasures that celebrates so many people who have lived and worked in the city. And I hope you've become inspired to write your own biography and to draw a picture of yourself or take a photograph. Think about what you might want to accomplish in life and what might be named after you in your city of Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is my home and it's your home too. I believe that the more you know about your city, the more you care about your city, and the more likely you are to contribute to make it a better place. I hope this educational program has helped you become more proud of Pittsburgh. Building pride, building character. Thanks.